other government official here, please I extend my regards. It is a joy and a great honor to be with you again this year. We give thanks to Almighty God for sparing our lives and keeping us together to see another Ramadan. And a great Ramadan that coincides with that of the Christian faith. You know what it means. Discipline, sacrifice, faith, resilience, strong determination for us to continue to brace together, pray together, and love one another. I want to thank all of you for what you have been able to get achieved so far. I thank God for what we've been able to achieve together. I didn't expect this number to show up because some people are still buried in their various congresses and other local government or state level. I will advise those in the same party with me to please bear in mind that those little ones too, they do cry. Tolerate everybody, build the structure in this period of faith, unity, harmony, and sacrifice that you are pleading. Do it. And let the young ones breathe. I must refer to the generosity of Professor Zulu. I saw the layout of those Ramadan outreach, both for the Christian and Muslim. That is a very, very good spirit. I watched the story. You look more robust. I thought you would eat all the 300,000 shares of the place. To all of you, I'm very, very grateful because we've seen progress. We've seen commitment to duty. But please, I appeal again, let's go further to...
All right, welcome to the big story. Samson Balogun is my name. Nigeria stands at a critical crossroad in a nation where the budget for safety often disappears into shadows of confidentiality. The clamor for transparency has never been louder. Every year, billions of naira are disbursed under the veil of security votes, a relic of military rule that allows executive discretion over public funds without the prying eyes of auditors or the legislature. Today we pull back the curtain on this camouflaged cash as insecurity persists despite these massive allocations. So we ask, where is the money going? And more importantly, who is watching the watchmen? And joining us to navigate this labyrinth of defense spending and national safety is the distinguished security expert, Dr. Kunle Okunola. Today, it's about price of peace and the cost of silence. This is the big story. But very quickly, let me take you through this. The timing of our conversation today could not be more symbolic. Just this week, the corridors of power at the State House in Abuja witnessed a significant transition. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu formally decorated a new acting Inspector General of Police, IGP, Tunji Disu, pinning the insignias of authority on a man now tasked with steering the nation's internal security through turbulent waters. In that ceremony, the president's charge was clear: lead firmly and restore confidence. This appointment comes on the heels of the sudden resignation of Kayode Egbetokun and underscores a presidency that is under immense pressure to deliver tangible safety to Nigerians. But the president's rhetoric didn't stop at the State House. Earlier this week, during an interfaith gathering in Abuja, just like you watched earlier, a setting of solemnity and unity, President Tinubu addressed the nation's spiritual and political leaders. He was candid, admitting that security is the foundation of prosperity and that without it, farms cannot flourish and families cannot sleep in peace. He made a definitive promise: the establishment of the state police will not be postponed. Yet, as the president calls for hard work and hard prayers and pledges more resources to the front line, of the old ghost of accountability remains. If we are to empower new leadership and create new police structure, we must first address the leakages in current system. We must talk about the security votes, and that we'll talk about this morning. But before we go further, let's see and of course listen to what the president said about the new Acting Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu. We'll be back shortly.
The Acting IGP, Tunji Disu, your declaration today is not simply a conferment of rank, but a solemn charge to serve Nigeria with courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the Constitution. I took this decision for you to assume this responsibility because I know your record. I believe in dedication that you've exhibited while you were in Lagos and I was the governor of Lagos State. And now you assume this responsibility at a defining moment for our nation's security, and expect you to strengthen the discipline, enhance interagency collaboration, and restore public confidence in Nigerian police. Lead firmly but fairly, demand professionalism at every level, and ensure that safety of lives and property remains our highest priority. It's a daunting challenge. I know you can do it. You have my full support as you have to advance the security pillars of Renew Hope agenda. You are a straightforward individual, committed and respected. You have sufficient amount of discipline. And you can draw from experience of Kayode Egbetokun, who had been there before you. The commitment I need from you is for you to make it better than you met it. And I'm sure you can do it. Nigeria is challenged right now with banditry, terrorism, and all sorts of criminal activities. You've been part of the thinking, and you've been part of the innovation. The challenge, as you hold the pattern of this leadership, is the belief that you will excel and Nigeria will prevail.
All right, that was the president charging the new acting IGP, and he was so sure that he could do it. Let me bring Dr. Kunle Okunla on board. Let's talk about security in Nigeria. Good to have you in the studio, Dr. Kunle.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again. Good morning, Nigerians.
What exactly was the intention behind security votes in the first place?
Security votes are discretionary funds that are allocated to states, governors for addressing security challenges in their respective states. The funds are meant to supplement federal efforts in maintaining law and order, and are usually shrouded in secrecy due to their sensitive nature. The security vote, they are discretionary, meaning that the governors
There's no
of each
constitutional backing for it.
no, they can spend it,
At their own discretion.
at their own discretion, and they are non-audited, and they are also non-budgeted funds, and they are huge amount of money, annually, totaling to about 250 billion. And that's a huge amount of money. For instance, between 2023 and 2025, Nigeria committed about 525 billion naira into security votes, and yet kidnappings and banditry on the increase. The intention is to enhance security, but the lack of clear guidance and oversight has led to concerns about it.
Okay, so why is it treated as confidential expenditure in the first place?
Because security informations, they are treated confidential, and so you can't preempt what will happen as per insecurity. So the intention of the federal government is for the state governors to have this money in case there is an upsurge of any insecurity in their state, and they use it. It's not budgeted because it is not meant for a particular thing. It's money that is there that in case anything happens, in terms of insecurity,
Funds put in place to be proactive.
That's right.
Security.
But this is Nigeria. The most of the time, the money are used for personal issues, or they're used, for party thing. There's been cases of several governors in Nigeria that have misused security votes. There was a time right here in Oyo State that a serving governor was removed because the chieftain of the ruling party at that time claimed that he has, right to the security vote. I think about 70% of the security vote. And because the governor refused to give him, he was unconstitutionally removed, and he was removed. You understand? The intention is right. I know these grants, from foreign grants to Nigeria. The federal government gets theirs, and the federal government shares, the state's own, depending on the state.
Volatility of the
state. Of the state, because some gets very high, some gets very low. But the truth is that the money are not being used for the purpose for which it was meant for. Look at the scandal that a lot of people believe led to the restriction of the former IG. His son Victor, 100 million naira that was meant, to be part of the security votes of Anambra State was transferred to his account. And the whistleblower, blew it and said, trace this thing, and it was traced, and it was found to be so. How can a security vote meant for a whole state be transferred? The police that come out and said it was a mistake. What kind of mistake is that? That 100 million, Anambra State collects 850 million security votes.
And 100 million of that
was taken to...
was mistakenly sent.
That
was what they said.
Yeah, that was what they said. Mistakenly sent into the account of the serving inspector general of Nigeria, who was meant to, be proactive in bringing security, of lives and properties. And this is what has been going on in Nigeria. And this is one of the reasons why banditry and kidnapping has been on a rise, because the bandits know, the terrorists, they know that governors are receiving security votes and they are not using the money for the purpose. Let's take our own share from it. All right. So instead of curbing insecurity, all right, security votes has led to, increase in insecurity in different states.
So is it safe to say that this is why we now have more corrupt police officers? And of course, is it safe to say that security votes should be subjected to legislative monitoring and audits?
I think that as important as security vote is, it shouldn't be left to the discretion of the governors. It shouldn't be unaudited, and it shouldn't be something that will not be subjected to the scrutiny of the legislature. So I believe that to curb, misuse and embezzlement, it's high time the government set up a committee that will be monitoring how the security vote will be used. Nobody is asking that the security vote should be removed, because it's very important. We need it. We need it. And the security of lives and property is very important. Section 14B.
But the House should perform an oversight function on it.
They should perform an oversight function. They should look into it. They should bring each governor of every state, to account. And the governor should be accountable. It's not something that, because these are a huge amount of money. For instance, Oyo State is collecting 1 billion naira every month.
Every month. That's 12 billion naira a year.
That's 12 billion a year.
Unaccounted for.
You just leave that unaccounted for. It's enormous. It's enormous. River State collects 3.2 billion every month. We're talking of billions here. So it's not something that should not be accounted for. I think the reason why it's left there is that is because this money is a grant, foreign grants, and the governor knows that the federal government is collecting is. Why should you poke nose into us? So if we are going to start to account for it, then it must start from the federal government. Let's know how much the federal government collects and how it's being spent. And let's know how much each governor, the federal government has said that, they start printing, sizing how much each governors are earning, which is good. But let's know how much the federal government gets, and let's know how much they spend there. Then we can hold our governors accountable.
Okay, now, very quickly, before we come back to the governors, let's beam our searchlight on the crimes of corruption being committed in the police. Now, let's trace it back in history, and let's see how that has become a problem for Nigerians. Okay, let's talk about 2018 to 2020, Ibrahim Magu versus police leadership. The former acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, accused some senior police officers of undermining anti-corruption efforts. In 2020, Magu himself was investigated by a presidential panel over alleged misconduct, raising broader questions about interagency rivalry and accountability within security institutions. Eventually, Ibrahim Magu had to leave. Now, let's talk about the super core. That is talking about Abba Kyari and his FBI indictment. In 2021, Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari was indicted by the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation over alleged links to international fraud suspect Ramon Abbas, aka Hush Puppy. The case drew global attention and led Kyari's suspension and prosecution in Nigeria. The incident raised serious concerns about integrity and senior operational levels. Till now, Abba Kyari is said to be in jail over crimes committed, especially in terms of corruption. Now, going back to as far as 2005, let's talk about Tafa Balogun and his conviction. Former Inspector General of Police Tafa Balogun was convicted on corruption charges involving misappropriation of public funds. He pleaded guilty and forfeited assets. In fact, at the time, people were said to be going to his house and even in roofs, in tanks.
The monies.
drainages.
Yeah.
Monies were kept in there.
That's right.
Meant for police reforms.
That's right.
This remains one of the most prominent corruption cases involving a police chief in Nigeria's history. Now, there has been allegations against senior officers over arms procurement from various years to different years in the police. And Nigerians are complaining about the fact that the police are not well equipped. When you see some police officers out there, not well dressed, and you are sad that these are meant to be people protecting lives and properties of average Nigerians. If you are hungry, if you are not well taken care of, how do you take care of other people?
You can't perform. The problem is hydra-headed. You know, when people look at junior officers on the street collecting 20 naira, 50 naira, and they said that the police is corrupt, you know, those are not the real corrupt police officers. The real corrupt officers, they're just tools. Because even the 20 naira, 30 naira that have been, you know, taken on the street, they still have to account to it to their superior officer.
We make also amount of money today, like a tax collector.
Yes.
That refunds and of course sends rebates.
You get your own rebates. There are instances when the DPO has visitors and just call a few officers, go and mount a guard and it's also amount to entertain my visitors. And, you know, they have to, of course, they have to make their own too. But the truth is that senior police officers are corrupt. Very, very corrupt. And that is why it's a bit difficult for them to curb the corruption of the junior officer. Because they know we are taking our own, you know, and take your own, make how much is what you are getting, you know, how much is what you are getting. I've seen on the road where a Marua driver wanted to give a police officer, and he's I was inside the Marua, and he's telling the police that I don't have change, and the police said I have change. So he gave him 200 naira, the police gave him 100 naira, and I was like, wow.
What did you sell to him? What are you buying
nothing,
from?
Absolutely nothing. And the patrol van, you know, was there, and the senior officer that led them, you know, to that place was inside the patrol van, seeing these things that happen. He cannot curb it because, in fact, he's monitoring how much they
process.
Yes, so that they don't hide money. So when you have situation like this, it becomes difficult. You can't prevent what you permit. It is not. It's not possible. Yorùbá ní o lè súfèé kó sunkún símú. It's not possible. You have to allow one and disallow the other. You know, from your account, very senior police officers in Nigeria, it's on record that they are corrupt. And what the president did about Egberuko, I want to tell you sincerely that it's the president just helped him to save face. Because when you look into it very, very well, the money might not really be meant for his son, might be meant for himself. Because at a meeting, the president just said, Egberuko, you have to resign. You know, so it's just like helping him to save face. You know, so there's a huge task in the hand of Tunde Disu now. Huge task. Abakari, you know, fortunately, this is the man that replaced Abakari when he was removed. You know, and on record, he did very well. But you know, when you get to that post, Inspector General of Police, there are so many opportunities for you to make money legally and illegally. All right, we're just trusting, and like he said, that we should be praying for him. We're just trusting God that, you know, all these praises and whatever will not enter his head. And for once we have a police officer that we perform. We had it before, 1970, 71 to 1976. You know, when what's the name of this man that was Inspector General of Police? This Oxford train, the name was coming and was going. We had a perfect police officer that was, I mean, yes, that was helping even the military to get informations. There was no coup before that time that the police did not get a wind of it. In fact, so many coups were thwarted because the police,
were on top of their game in terms of
part of their
intelligence
games.
gathering.
And there were times that, yes, even in West African nations, they know some presidents, employed our Nigerian MD Yusuf. MD Yusuf was the IG then. That these nations employed, the science of our police to help them get information, to thwart, coup and whatever that was reigning at that time, But when Murtala Mohammed died, as a result of envy, the military, the army, they blamed it on the police that you are the one that didn't give us enough intelligence. And the police said that MD said, we gave you enough intelligence. We knew that Dinka, was planning to come and we told you, but he didn't do enough about it. So the Nigerian government then, led by our former president, who was the head of state, Buhari, took away the intelligence gathering branch. It was called the branch. Took it away from the police and gave it, to the military, and they set up other intelligence gathering agencies. That was the problem of
the beginning of an end.
Yes, for Nigeria when it comes to gathering intelligence. So when we have the police inspector general, all right, that is competent and that is willing, then we're going to be able to rid of all this corruption that is in the police. The truth is that most senior police officers, they are corrupt.
Now,
even commissioners, all right, go to some commissioners' office, especially on Monday or Wednesday, you see people bringing things.
All sort of gifts.
Yes. The meat sellers, they bring cows. The clothes sellers, they bring clothes. To what end?
Can that be considered an inducement?
Yeah, that's an inducement. You understand? Turnover Jedodo, Ododo. Somebody has brought 5 cows to me, and I heard that he has committed a crime. Will I be able to go and stop him? I cannot do that. So all this has to stop. Then we can now talk about the welfare of the police officers. And in fairness to the present government, he has really tried. If you look at the salary structures of the police, it has been upgraded. It has been upgraded. And he insists that every 3 years, there must be promotion. Yes, there must be promotion.
You were so confident in the new IG.
Because the antecedents.
He knows him so much.
He worked with him in Lagos State. Tunde Dizu was the head of the Rapid Response Squad.
RRS.
Yes, and that was the team that was responsible for curbing every form of insecurity in Lagos State. And the pattern laid at that time is what they are still enjoying today. And that was why it's difficult for the bandits to penetrate Lagos, because this man laid a solid foundation, and he worked directly with the president. And one thing about the president that I've studied is that he's a people-oriented person. He keeps relationship. Anyone that worked with him that was competent, if you study right from the time he was governor, he always uplift them when he has the opportunity.
Okay, let's talk about the Police Service Commission.
Yeah.
In all of this, what role does the Police Service Commission play? Do they have what it takes to instill discipline in top-ranking officers?
The problem is there was a time that even the Police Service Commission was alleged
rocked by corruption.
By corruption, most of the pensions and payment meant for retired officers, they are being held by the Police Service Commission, and there are so many officers that the Police Commission, have ratified as, promoted, but the promotion did not get to the officers, and the money for the promotion is getting into the hands of the people in charge of Police Commission. I think like Tunde Disu promised when he said he's going to work hand in hand with the Police Service Commission, because if one is lifting, one is pulling down, then it cannot work. We are just trusting and praying that God will just help us in this nation, because this is a sensitive area, and we can't just leave it like that. We're talking of security of lives and properties. And when it comes to internal security, it's the work of the police, you know.
Okay.
So,
to what extent does a political influence shield senior police officers from investigation?
politics is
Because eventually, security votes has to do with politics.
Yes.
It is being politicized as we speak. And most of the times, senior police officers are usually close to governors.
I watched an interview by someone I don't want to mention name, and it was bringing a revelation. He said, with what happened to Egbetokun's son, Victor, that he said he transferred 100 million to his account. He said, it's something that he has always known, that apart from the governors sharing the money with political party members and using the rest for his personal use, he said some senior police officers even have shares.
The benefit.
They benefit from, some governors, and that's alarming. If we are having that, then there is no way that the fund allocated by the federal government, to state security votes can be effective, because there are so many people that are cutting the cake. At the end of the day, the largest share is almost gone. And that is why insecurity persists in this nation. Politics has robbed us of integrity in this nation. Integrity of officers, integrity of good men, in political appointments and things like that.
Talking about integrity, Dr.
Yeah.
Kulukola, should police officers be made to publicly declare asset as a confidence-building measure?
I think when you get to certain ranks, I think from the commissioner role, there should be declaration of assets, so that we know what you have, what you're worth when you become, the commissioner, and as you go on, we know what you're worth, so that if at the end of the day there is a discrepancy, in the amount you had and the amount you now have, then we can talk of, prosecution. We can talk of prosecution. So all these things has to be put in place. Choosing the new inspector general is okay. The president was talking of antecedent that he trusts this man. It was the commissioner of police in Rivers State, was commissioner of police in Abuja, and he did very well. So every Nigerian should keep praying and trusting that he will deliver, because he has a huge task in his hand. He has a huge task within the police, itself. The division. There are people that believe that, the officers that believe that, it was junior to certain officers. There are people that believe that tribalism has been set into it, because Frank Umba was a deputy superintendent of deputy inspector general, which is a higher rank to assistant inspector general. So by rank, the DIG should be the IG, But the president said it's not ethnicity.
Some also argue that Tuji Disu came into the police force in 1992, while Frank Uba came in the year 1994.
Yes.
So by enlistment,
he
Tuji
was
Disu is the senior. But Frank Uba benefited from rapid promotion. Within 5 years, he was promoted 3 times.
And sincerely, I mean, this is just...
the same thing is happening to Benjamin Hundeyin as we speak.
Yes.
He's been promoted about 3 times in the space of 5 years.
Yes. When you have... it's just natural. When you have your person at the helm of affairs, and he trusts you, then they're going to be rapid promotion. And constitutionally, it's at the discretion of the president to appoint service chiefs. It's at the discretion of the president. And of course, we are going to put in place the person you trust for sensitive positions like
Dr.
this.
Kulukola, just before we go, a question just popped up, and
Yes.
I'm going to ask you this in less than 1 minute, just before we go. Should Nigeria consider an independent civilian review board for police leadership misconduct?
we cannot have independent civilian, a board to question the police. Just like you cannot have an independent civilian board, to try hiring, army officers. Each of these military and paramilitary organizations have their own
disciplinary
committee. And so when you take it away, it's like you are reducing the tenacity of the power of the agency. All we need to do is for the federal government to empower the disciplinary committee that they have and make sure that they are effective. That's what I believe we should do. We can't take it away from them.
All right, Dr. Kunle Okola, thank you for joining me on this show this morning.
Thank you very much for
having me. It has been
me.
an eye-opening session with you.
Thank you.
We do want to bring you back some other time and discuss extensively about the police. A
no
lot
problem.
of questions to be asked.
Yes.
But then, we'll find a time to talk about security.
Thank you very much. And we congratulate Tunde Disu on his new appointment. And we pray he will perform.
We do all that he gets to do something really massive for Nigerians. All right. As we wrap up today's edition of The Big Story, one thing is abundantly clear. Security is not just about the number of boots on the ground or the rank of the officer in the saddle. It is about the integrity of the system that fuels them. Dr. Kunle Okola has reminded us that secrecy must not be a synonym for corruption. If the president's promise of a more secure Nigeria is to be fulfilled, then the era of our unrecorded billions must give way to a regime of verifiable impact. We cannot play our way out of insecurity while we bleed our way through unaccounted spending. Thank you, Dr. Kunle Okola, for your profound insight, of course, on the show today. And you at home, remember, a nation is only as secure as the trust between its leaders and its people. I am Samson Balogun. Good morning and stay vigilant.